In your own words, who is Ramona Oliver?
Well, at this point in my life, I'm an advocate of positive aging. I actually have reinvented myself many times over the years as far as my career and my personal life as well. But I'd say that the common thread that has always run through everything that I've done is to not only develop myself, but also support others in their personal development. That has led me into career paths such as human resource manager, director for many, many years, where I empowered employees to be the best they could, not only personally, but professionally. I also served as a career coach for many years and enjoyed helping people to give them the tools so that they could make a transition in their own careers. And I then ended up at St. Edward's University, which is a local university. I'd actually gone back to school as an adult in my 50s and completed my undergraduate degree. And I enjoyed that journey so much that I just stayed on and did my master's. I'm a true proponent of lifelong learning. And I think that's so important to all of us, regardless of what our age is. And I think especially as we get older.
And that brings me to the question about meaning and purpose. Specifically purpose. Do you believe we have one specific purpose in life or many of them?
I think we have many of them and they vary throughout our lives, but I think bottom line, without purpose, we're more vulnerable to boredom, anxiety, and depression. Having a purpose can provide a powerful positive effect. It can also enhance our self-esteem and our self-confidence. Various studies that I looked into indicate that having a purpose makes us healthier and more resilient and even affects our mortality. But I also look at purpose, I could call it a big P or a little p, and it can be a combination of both of those.
What do you think the purpose of the human experience is as a whole, in general?
I feel that it's important that we leave a mark on this earth in our society. For many, many people, it's family. That's their legacy. So the message that I'm putting across in that regard is that you can really leave a legacy and live it now by serving as a role model for future generations. And whether that, I don't think that making your mark in this life has anything to do with riches or property.
In your book, you have a phrase there that's really beautiful and powerful. Let me paraphrase you. You said, legacy is not leaving things for people, but leaving something in people.
Exactly.
Beautifully written.
Where I was going with the aspect of leaving a legacy for the younger generation. I mean, there's no monetary value on that. When most people think that a legacy has to be property or values, but look at the richness of that legacy in helping the younger generation realize they can continue to live meaningful and purposeful lives rather than it's all about decline.
And my last warm-up question is the meaning of freedom. What is to be free from your perspective?
Well, it's funny. I was reviewing some of the material this morning, and I think that freedom, I included a discussion of that in the third section of the book, which is empowerment. I think just to touch on this, the book has three parts. The first is attitude, the second is growth, and the third is empowerment. And interestingly, and you probably noticed this in the table of contents, but the first letter of each part spells age, A-G-E. Now, in moving to empowerment, of course, empowerment is the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in gaining control over your own life. So I see it as having the free will, or freedom, if you will, to adopt a positive attitude with respect to aging, that you choose to commit to a meaningful, purposeful life of incline as you get older. You make every day count. You add movement to your life. You strive for continuous growth through social engagement, both relationships and community.
You wrote the book, Inclined Elders, How to Rebrand Aging for Self and Society. What was the main inspiration to write your book?
I became very aware that myself and my friends were continuing to live meaningful and purposeful lives. There were so many adults that had bought into society's negative connotation about aging, and it really incensed me. So I decided to research, and as I evolved through the science of what I was calling positive aging, I then realized that there was a positive aspect to this. And I thought, well, it would be interesting to interview people in their 40s to hundreds and see what they thought about aging, what challenges they might have, what tips and techniques that they used to overcome those challenges. From the conversations I had, several common themes emerged from those that were living a life of incline. And the four significant ones that came out were that all of the inclined elders, so those that weren't accepting the decline approach, they all had a positive attitude and mindset about aging. They were living a life of meaning and purpose. Yeah. They understood the importance of connections and community, and they realized their legacy is to serve as role models for future generations.
Dancing and laughter. This is something that I have adopted in my life, and it just makes a huge difference. Talk to me about your own experience with dancing, moving the body, and laughter.
Yes, well, you've touched on one of the chapters, which I call The Power of Play, because to me, that is one of the key elements in the book, on the basis that people that continue to have movement in their lives as they age certainly are able to keep the aging aspect in curb, in a sense. I myself was never what I would term athletic growing up, and yet many decades ago, I started to realize the significance of movement in our lives. My Pilates teacher, actually, that's her mantra for her Pilates company. Movement is medicine, and I certainly believe that. I practiced yoga for many years, almost 20 years now, but it was interesting that as I was looking for other tools in my, what I call my toolkit of wellness, that I wanted some other aspects that would give me a different perspective on movement. And I'd heard of Nia. I knew it was a type of dance. I started them, and wow, it was amazing. And to me, it was transformative on the basis that, wow, moving from linear structured movements to fluid, resilient movements, which you get from dancing, it not only impacted my body with the movement, but my mind as well, because I was thinking in different ways. And it's interesting, as I did my research on movement, and especially dance, that the area of movement that is the best exercise for slowing down the aging process is dancing. And again, that scientific evidence has been proven. So, hey, what fun you can have by dancing. Now, of course, to me, laughter is medicine as well. I believe that we need to express ourselves in a positive way, obviously, but just laughter, not only for little things, but even laughing at yourself if you do something that's not to the norm, but just laughter in general, and sharing that with other people. That's my philosophy in a nutshell.
I love that, Ramona, this idea that we can open ourselves to that more, not to take everything so seriously.
Yes, exactly, because as we're aging, we need to maintain that playfulness. There's certain quotes that I found. One, George Bernard Shaw quoted that we don't stop playing because we grow old because we stop playing.
So we're almost at the end. In your book, again, you did a wonderful, wonderful job exploring all these aspects of what is to live this authentic, beautiful and meaningful life. I love also the topic on self-compassion, self-kindness. It's so crucial as well. It might be where everything else becomes possible.
I agree. And just one other quick thing that I'll add in line with that is that I really think that people don't have the courage to go after their dreams after a certain age because conditions that promote a negative concept about aging, what I call the calamitous C's, and they include complacency, conventionality, and compliance. In other words, just going along with society's norms and not really feeling motivated to do anything. But then I flip that over and I indicate that to not get sucked in by that negative talk on aging, I recommend replacing those 3 calamitous C's with 3 positive, constructive C's, especially if you're serious about living a life of continuous incline. And of course, they are change, curiosity, and courage.
And my last question is, what are 3 things about life you know for sure as of this moment?
Well, I would go back to my strong belief in having a positive attitude generally. I think too, and we've used the word often, the authenticity, but being yourself, having the courage to really be who you want to be and to live the life that you want rather than deferring to what other people's wishes are. Embracing life, living life. I think so many people just go through life through the motions of living. And there's so many areas that I speak of in the book, the play, the movement, the this and that, where if you embrace those aspects will lead to living a happier, more meaningful, full life.
Thank you so much again.